Welcome to Minecraft Story Mode, a seriously underrated game by Telltale that is still remembered by its sense of power and nostalgia, and its presence in music. Fairly wholesome, full of mystery, despite its clipped and somewhat cheesy dialogue. Season 1.
Heroes can come from unlikely beginnings.
Here we have the story of how losers become heroes. Nobodies become somebodies. They become heroes. That's basically the premise of this story, and the life lessons it teaches along the way. It's the story of the Order of the Stone. Who was the original Order of the Stone, however? These guys.
Gabriel the warrior, before whose sword all combatants would tremble. Eligard the redstone engineer, whose machines would spark an era of invention. Magnus the rogue, who would channel his destructive creativity for the benefit of all. And Soren the architect, builder of worlds and leader of the Order of the Stone. These four friends together would give so much to gain their rightful place as four heroes.
This is where we have myths, legends, and lies. Soon we find it was actually 5 heroes. Ivor the Forgotten, the Abandoned, the Bitter, the anti-hero who unintentionally nearly destroyed the entire world with his foolish grudge. We find that Ivor holds many creepy layers with a great deal of knowledge contained within them. He, as such, is a collector of knowledge, an extremely inquisitive mind, even that of which should be forbidden.
He's no slouch when it comes to enchanting. This is pretty advanced stuff.
A Brief History of Cubism, Crafting for Noobs, Revised, A Collector's Guide to Precious Gems, How to Train Your Slime, The Various Uses of Mushroom Stew, Potionology, Volume 24, 20,000 Blocks Under the Sea, Learn to Succeed by Thinking Inside the Box, How I Learned to Stop Worrying and Love Mining, The Unabridged Redstone Encyclopedia, Zombies and Pigs, an Intimate Memoir. I think I'm in the wrong part of the house.
Then we have Soren. Soren, who was titled the Builder of Worlds, the leader of the Order of the Stone. Looking at him upon first glance,
Gary may seem scary, but he's a swell guy. Sally dilly-dallies, give her credit, she tries. They might look the same to the untrained eye, but that's a lie, and so I say.
he definitely wouldn't seem the type to be a leader as one might expect. Making friends with Endermen.
I will disguise myself and hide among them in order to observe them more closely.
Hide among them. Hide among who?
Jesse? Do you think Soren is talking about them?
He also probably is kind of crazy.
And finally, an Enderman love song. It's all just fascinating.
In Adventure Pass, where Ivor is redeemed, we use him as a primary source for valuable knowledge, knowing of the old builders who existed even before the Order of the Stone, and the Eversource, which can create endless material and was hidden by the old builders for its potential.
As the story goes, the old builders feared its potential, so they hid it away in a place where it would never be found. And ha! It never has been!
Inevitably, however, traveling through the portal into new worlds, they find a lot of intriguing figures, one of them being the Founder, later known to be Issa, who supposedly created the first world we see, and owns the Eversource to supply her whole society in the sky. Some have speculated if she's actually an old builder, but considering that there's very little to support it, I'm not gonna entertain it for this video. Though, I did sort of want to romance her for a bit.
Help me protect my people.
Of course I'll help you. You're the founder.
Thank you, Jesse. And please, call me Issa.
We've got a city to save. You ready?
I believe so. And when I get up there, I'm going to tear those blaze rods limb from limb. Oh, and Jesse, I appreciate what you did up there. Trying to save me, I mean.
We find the insane white pumpkin, which is a kind of a Jack Pumpkinhead, Jason Voorhees knockoff of sorts. The white pumpkin trapped a bunch of YouTubers and started killing them all off in a very horror mystery-like scenario.
Greetings, adventurers. I am the White Pumpkin. One of you is the treasure I desire, and I will not rest until it is mine, even if I have to resort to murder.
More panicking! I'm too cute to die!
Eventually, we find that this mystery killer was none other than Cassie Rose, who was also discovered to have been always friends with many cats, and explained that she had been trapped for a very long time.
I've done some morally gray things in my time, but I'd never kill people just to get some loot.
That is so unfair. You weren't there. You don't know. You don't understand what I've been through. I've been stuck in this stupid world with its stupid 2 moons for years. Trapped with a portal right under my nose, but no key to open it. That is, until I finally heard that this world's portal key had been found. I knew it was one of you, so I tried my best to earn your friendship, figure out who had it.
You can say she created an insanely dangerous identity. Later, we find a woman named Harper. Turns out Harper created the insanely dangerous PAMA, which was tasked to organize and help workers but ended up pretty much becoming the Borg.
Some might call me a computer, a thinking machine, though there has never been a computer quite like me. My job is to be useful. Using redstone chips, I have connected to the people of this town, has helped them be useful, coordinated. I have made their world perfect. Thanks to me, there is no wasted activity, no wasted thought. I am connected to them, and they are connected to me. A beautiful web of productivity and efficiency.
Harper had created, and due to this, had to destroy the portal she created to prevent it from escaping, inevitably shutting it down for good so it couldn't escape and assimilate literally every other world in a vast brainwashed hive mind. Pretty dark if you think about it. But Ivor relates to her on a personal level, as both are quirky odd geniuses who accidentally created the equivalent of massively dangerous eldritch abominations that could potentially destroy entire worlds. But Harper and Ivor aren't the only ones who have had similarities. Granted, Ivor himself isn't an old builder, because he used a wither recipe to create what he did, and reveres the old builders. But on to Harper. We find Harper is basically a quirky genius who's been alone for a very long time. We find, just like Soren, she is lonely and isolated, making friends with robots she created to fill her emptiness.
Good morning, Orber. It is Harry. It is always so good to see you. You should not let yourself feel guilty. You had the best of intentions. You are like a flower in the desert, and bring joy to those who have none.
You've got to melt that ice around your heart and forgive yourself. You're not the one to blame.
This reflects how Soren had made friends with the Enderman because of his extensive loneliness.
Jesse, are you sure that Harper is still in her right mind? If somebody is alone for a really long time, their brain changes, and not for the better.
Hey, think about how long she's been alone. Nothing but this lab and mindless PAMA people for company. I'd be a little odd too. Let's cut her a break, okay?
And this strangely also reflects Cassie Rose, the White Pumpkin.
At least don't leave me here all alone. Give me my cat. My dear sweet Winslow. He's my best, my only friend. Please.
Trying to befriend all those cats. They all befriended other entities that could potentially be very dangerous instead of humans. They did this because of loneliness.
Oh, there you are! There you are! You and me are together forever, just like it was always meant to be. Trapped together. Forever. Just me and my little Winslow.
Because on some level, it was most likely that they couldn't relate to any humans. So why is this? Maybe because they aren't regular humans. Maybe because they're all builders. So they're almost like godlike inventors, still mortal but old world architects. Many hints are nearly confirmed when we meet the true confirmed old builders, who allowed their detachment from humanity to result in making, basically, a rigged impossible game that they built to endlessly amuse themselves and hold themselves above everyone else they capture and force to play their games. These are, as you could say, the tainted old builders. Those that have allowed time to corrupt them.
Hadrian and Mevia let power go to their heads. They started pitting people against each other, just for sport. Forcing people to be here.
But when meeting them, you can sift through many of your items, most of which they are not impressed by, because they themselves hoard many powerful items representing their superiority. But one intriguing indicator is the Eversource, which they do mention.
I present the Eversource crown.
Wait, why do I recognize that?
Oh, that's the crown we put on the Eversource chickens so we'd be able to tell them apart from the regular chickens.
Oh, that was a good party, huh?
As well as Cassie Rose's white pumpkin.
How about a white pumpkin?
Oh, wow. Haven't seen one of those since Cassie left.
Oh, don't say that name. She still gives me nightmares.
Oh, yikes. Is that who you got that from?
They mention Cassie by name with great familiarity. What I want to know is, why? Who is she to them? I have a theory. What if she was one of the old builders alongside them, and they banished her because they feared her darker tastes? Was she too psycho back then as well? Or was her abandonment on that world what drove her insane? Either way, it sounds like they were always wary of her. And know of her mask even. And I suspect they played a part in banishing her since they probably found a way. Even Cassie was mentioned as possibly being an old builder.
Petra, did you see this?
That's the portal hallway.
Yeah, it looks like the white pumpkin's been there too.
Cassie, what's-her-name, was talking about being trapped here from another world. What if she was one of the old builders?
Portal keys, other worlds. It all adds up, I guess.
Oh, wow, I think you could be right. It totally makes sense. If it's true...
I sort of thought old builders would be taller.
I just can't believe that we finally met someone who might be an old builder, and she's a pumpkin-wearing serial killer. Typical.
Then we have Harper, who was also mentioned as an old builder.
She may have come across like just another weirdo, but she's actually an old builder. She built the portal network, which hopefully means she can help us get home.
On top of this, guess what? In every Adventure Pass episode, we have Soren's books.
Habits of the Enderman by Soren? Wow, how'd that get here? The Redstone Heart by Soren? Whoa. Either that name is a coincidence or... Wow. Walking Among the Endermen by Soren. Wow, his books sure get around. First Sky City and now here. No Portal Atlas. A Man Forever Voyaging by Soren. Another one? Where do these keep coming from?
Maybe he's visited all those worlds. Or they all know of him somehow. Either way, he's everywhere. So formally in Season 1 we had the White Pumpkin, a killer computer, the Witherstorm, and even the Old Builders. But in this season it takes an even more godlike approach, with the admin. What is the admin? Well, an admin is somebody who in reality watches over a server as a higher authority or a higher staff member, you know. In world, however, there's some interesting similarities with them and the overall concept of a god.
I refuse to believe that there's some all-powerful dude running around, playing games with my life.
Well, I don't know about an admin, but I really, really don't like that floating water.
You could say that in a gaming perspective, they're a Minecraft server creator that can do whatever they want in it. But in-universe, they're essentially a god that created the entire Minecraft world that the Minecraft story takes place in.
Hermes says they say, once the world was flat, no mountains, no rivers, no trees, until the admin, built the mountains, sculpted the rivers, crafted the trees. Bunch of superstitious malarkey. The admin saw there were no more heroes worthy of his challenges. So he left this world until the next great heroes emerged. Can't believe you buy into this stuff. That's obviously just the cop-out way of saying he never really existed.
He puts Jesse in many dangerous trials. Through these tests, though, he constantly accentuates that winning is all that matters, and decides who is worthy and who isn't, heavily discounting Radar due to not being a warrior, and eventually disqualifying Jesse and casting him into a sort of jail cell due to cheating.
I made this for you. Just for you. And how do you repay me? You cheated! How could you do this to me?
So it's a prison.
Hey, no, we don't use the P word here.
But it is a prison.
Let's not challenge authority. The admin doesn't let us use that word, so we don't use that word. Understand?
You know he's not here right now, right?
You never know.
For anybody that is not cooperative with his strength, power, and winning philosophy. So anyways, Jesse, imprisoned, inevitably discovers a Prisoner X, aka Zara, which is locked away and imprisoned in an overcompensating cell literally filled with lava and death. When we discover Prisoner X, we find out she was once an admin as well.
She doesn't deserve to be locked up. None of us do.
Did you know she was once an admin too? The admin had to take her powers away. She tried to destroy him. I promised the admin I'd never let her free, no matter what.
You were an admin?
Well, it's complicated.
We want answers, Zara.
Fine. Yes, I was an admin. Ages ago, Romeo took my admin powers away from me just before he banished me to this pitiful prison. But I'm not the villain here. Romeo and his little warden were the ones who put you down here, not me!
And knows him as Romeo.
Romeo was here? Just now?
Well, the admin was, but who's...
Romeo. That's his real name. You didn't think admin was his given name, did you? He would want you to think that. Of course he would.
How do you know his real name?
Oh, we're very old friends. I know his real name, and much, much more.
So apparently here we find below the bedrock, where there shouldn't be anything underneath, there is indeed an underneath. And it's the supposed first world. Now that's an interesting concept, kind of reminds me of the Matrix's destroyed world. It didn't always look this way, however, until Romeo, aka the admin, destroyed it.
Wow, you were right. There's a whole world down here.
The first world, created by us, Romeo, Fred, and me. Haven't seen it since I was imprisoned, before he bedrocked over it all. You made this? Not this. This shadow. The view from up here, it used to be beautiful.
So you say?
This is way worse than I imagined. That he'd do something like this to his own world. How did nobody know about this? It's just been down here this whole time?
Romeo didn't want anyone to know. Wanted people to forget. He probably wants to forget about it too. Like you tried to forget me back there. Funny.
Then we find one good admin named Fred, who we eventually find sort of worshippers later on. People that are literally obsessed with him and try to find out everything about him. We find his writings in books, his thoughts about Romeo.
Community didn't seem to be as important to him. Whatever ideals that he'd had when he'd started, they'd shifted, rerouted. Something else had settled on his soul. The rest is marked out. I know I had my doubts, but it was worth leaving home. I'm glad I had Zara and Romeo with me. This is Fred's journal. I don't know what Romeo wants anymore. It hurts. All I wanted was the three of us together. Maybe we should have never left the cabin. We weren't just happy there. We were home. Wait, home? And he wasn't talking about here.
Doesn't this remind you of anything? Our friends? We used to hang out in that treehouse all the time. Now, we barely talk. Why does this keep happening? Everyone leaves and I'm just by myself again.
Another one of Fred's journals. Dear Zara, if you're reading this, I'm already gone. I hid this in the one place I knew you would look for it. Fitting the key to ending all this would be here, where it all started. This is the key to defeating Romeo.
So, Romeo, Zara, and Fred used to all be friends. 3 friends, 3 banners, 3 beds, 3 Kellers, representing each of them. 3 friends, right? They lived in a home together. Once at peace. Well, guess what? That resembled the Jesse gang and their treehouse. Exact reflection. And like the Jesse gang in Season 2, eventually they moved out and got busy with their own lives. Their own fans, just like the admin's original worshippers.
I still have hope for Romeo. He just wanted us to stay together more than anything. I know that's why he's doing this. Maybe I'm being foolish, but I need to know for sure before taking this step. Though I guess if you're here, I got my answer. Maybe someday we'll be together again. Your friend, always, Fred.
But eventually, due to Romeo's loneliness, he'd try to force them all together and eventually end up killing Fred and imprisoning Zara forever.
Everyone talks about Romeo like he was this controlling monster, but Fred wrote that Romeo just wanted to keep them together, more than anything. Isn't that what I've been doing? Especially to you? I don't want you to feel forced to keep doing something you don't want to. I don't want to be that person. Or make you feel scared to tell me the truth.
You are nothing like the admin. Don't compare yourself to him.
Even he didn't start out that way. It just got bad. I don't want to cross that line too. I've been thinking a lot about what you said. Adventuring is what I'm good at. It's where I belong.
So, we have 3 godlike admins. One of them is a fallen admin, Evil Romeo. Then we have the betrayed one, Zara, and Fred both. As it is implied, stripped of power and identity, and hidden away. Whereas Fred was killed by Romeo. Both seemed most tied together by Fred. The peaceful and most loving, the one with the heart. His heart was emphasized, as he didn't want to give up on Romeo.
It's Fred?
Zara, hi. If you're seeing this recording, well, I guess the worst has happened. And you just put the word of passage into the primary terminal. I wish the terminal could just take away Romeo's admin powers. It'd be easier that way. But making this gauntlet was the best I could do. Put your hand into the pedestal to receive the gauntlet. It's got the power to make Romeo normal again. It might take a few hits to remove his powers entirely, but it'll get the job done. Do you understand? Then good luck, Zara. I think you might need it.
What do you think you're doing?
He was clearly the most good and pure out of all of them. And as we learn, Fred was actually betrayed. Well, here's the main point here. Here's the main thing I'm going to start wrapping up on. Betrayal is the constant theme. It always comes back to betrayal.
Strangers! Binta!
Ooh, what do we do here, Jesse?
We come in peace. We're not gonna hurt you, I promise.
We've been told that before. Fred believed it. Then he was stabbed in the back.
Now what?
I've found that when you give people what they want, they turn on you. They become resentful. They show their true colors.
Who turned on you?
All of them! It's why I prefer Endermen. They always do what you expect, almost to a fault.
So, here's one question about Soren. Who betrayed him? The Order of the Stone? The Old Builders? Or was Soren a freaking admin like some believe? I know I originally thought he was just an old builder, but what if he existed before as an admin named Fred? Do I think he changed form and just became Soren? Maybe. Or what if he did die and somehow came back as a new character? I don't know exactly what the connection might be, but maybe there's a certain connection that Soren has with Fred because we actually find Soren's book in Fred's room.
Brave New Enderman by Soren? Definitely not what I'm looking for, but man. Once upon a time, there was a little Enderman who was afraid of the dark. All the bigger Endermen taunted him and didn't let him play their Enderman games.
Why's that? I get with it being all over in other places, like in the portal hallway and all that, but seeing it in Fred's house too means that Fred either knew about him, or he was him, or he had some sort of connection with him. I'm not going to assume that he was Fred, because it's a lofty assumption to assume that, but I'm going to say that they had some sort of connection, and one of the mysteries of this game, one of the many mysteries, is what was his connection? How is it that everyone seems to know about Soren and his books about Enderman, even back then? He's either an old builder, or he could have been an admin, he could have been Fred, or just another nameless old builder. I don't know exactly, but all I know is there's a great deal of mystery surrounding him, and I wonder where that would all lead. He has some sort of connection. That's what I know. That's the ultimate point of this entirety. He has a connection to Fred in a similar way that our current characters seem to have a connection with the three admin. Axel has a similar body type to Fred, and he's the wholesome friend of the group. And then you have Olivia, who's essentially the inventor, and that was much like Zara. And then you have Jesse as well as Petra, who are both born adventurers. They strive to constantly adventure around and fight and be free and just kind of do things, but they also strive strongly for a sense of friendship and being together. There's kind of a spiritual connection with a lot of these characters in this story, and it's kind of interesting to leave off on that. So I'm gonna leave off on saying this. I think Cassie Rose is an old builder. I also think she's still alive. And I think the new Order of the Stone reflects the old Order of the Stone. And just as the new Order of the Stone reflects the old Order of the Stone, they also reflect the admins. Kind of a consistent theme there. And on top of that, everything that wraps everything together is the fact that Soren's books are everywhere and he has some connection to everyone.
Maybe see about a conference with the Firework Guild, get a celebratory display going, finally do that lunch with the followers of Soren. Oh, and I finally checked the mail chest, and boy, were we behind on our correspondence. You received a letter from someone named Aiden? Something about wanting to redeem himself? No idea what that means. And a rather cryptic note from someone with the initials WP that just said, "Look out! Strange."
Lucas?